the vibe, the grittiness, the realism. This is Battlefield.
Alright everybody, welcome back to another deep dive on Battlefield 6. I am absolutely confused with the current state of this game. We finally got Downtown and Marina into the game following the last video, and I'm starting with these maps because they should be the focus of the damn game compared to the winter themed version of Empire State, because they absolutely bring in that flagship Battlefield DNA that the community desperately need right now. That sense of large-scale design, expansive atmosphere, that unmistakable cinematic version of Battlefield. There's open space for vehicles, environments cater to that dynamic range of playstyles. You now have the freedom to actually play the damn game how you want to play. And it's a breath of fresh air compared to those restrictive COD-style base maps. Yet, despite their clear potential, these maps are hidden away, sidelined within portal mode, restricted to conquest, denied that full featured integration they deserve. And this situation highlights the broader issue. Battlefield 6 is overflowing with potential, but plagued by undeveloped ideas and lazy developers who might place a heavy reliance on community tools instead of providing developer-led content. What should be a directional correction instead becomes another example of buried potential thanks to the creatively limited and tired 5 studios working on this damn game, shitting out a snow-themed version of Empire State, a map completely disconnected from what Battlefield is, raising serious concerns about the game's long-term vision and whether the developers are fully committed to realizing the epic warfare that wants to find the series. That faceless, squad-based warfare, teamwork, conquest mode, rush, and large open battlegrounds which accommodate for support, engineer, medic, and recon playstyles. If your maps aren't built around this in mind, you end up with Empire State. So I'm going to start off with the snow-themed version of Empire State. But before that, I need to talk about the tragedy of all this. These maps, Downtown and Marina, are currently the best maps to hit the game, yet they're barren, empty, and desolate. You log in, you scroll through the server browser, and you're lucky if you find 10 players. These maps should be headlining the season. They should be that return to form announcement, but instead they're hidden in portal mode where most players don't even see them, don't hear about them, and don't even know they exist. And while these massive open dynamic maps rot in portal, the Winter Empire State reskin gets the marketing push, the trailers, the playlist placement, the promotion, and all that visibility. The irony is the most anti-Battlefield map in the game gets the spotlight, while the most Battlefield-style maps are shoved into a dusty corner of the UI. DICE is propping up the wrong content, and players are voting by not showing up to the Portal playlist. I won't be focusing on the UI problems. I know there's currently technical problems scrolling through the menu and trying to select game modes. I honestly don't give a shit about all these trivial problems. You know it's getting fixed in about a day or two, so relax. I'm again more focused on the design problems because those are the real lasting problems. Like if you're building shit maps and reskinning those shit maps, that's a serious lasting problem. It's not a Battlefield game if it's made on COD style maps. Downtown and Marina are exactly what the game needs to thrive. Large scale environments, open engagements, destruction, vehicles, variety. These are legitimate Battlefield maps, and yet the only thing holding them back is that DICE didn't build them. They just literally threw them in Portal, and some dude threw Conquest on there, built a carrier and hosted this experience. And therefore DICE doesn't promote them. This is how Battlefield loses its way. That being said, I'm just going to be honest here. This winter version of Empire State is a new low bar for the franchise. When you've got 5 entire studios working on Battlefield 6, 5 studios, and the headline piece of content is a winter reskin of one of the smallest, shittest maps in the damn game. A cosmetic change, a festive slap of ice on top of the exact problems the community has spent months trying to get this stupid dev team to understand. Let's not pretend this isn't frustratingly embarrassing. Yet again, all those Battlefield channels are too busy selling fake hype, scared of critical feedback like it's radioactive. So DICE basically continue to produce this mediocre slop because they think that's normal. What makes this moment worse is the sheer mismatch between production power and output. Again, 5 studios, and the best this pipeline can produce is the first ever straight up reskin map in Battlefield history. That's not innovation. That's not content strategy. That's bullshit. That's the equivalent of reheating leftovers and calling that a home-cooked meal. Battlefield has never done a simple map reskin as a primary seasonal offering because the franchise used to operate on a higher standard, large original battlegrounds engineered to push the sandbox forward. And like I said before, the only time I remember DICE rehashing a map was Zavod 311. The nighttime version made sense there and fundamentally changed the battlefield, making night vision, thermals and flashlights a viable and necessary option. The Empire State map here is already a fundamentally flawed map. It's cramped, restrictive, corridor heavy and antithetical to everything Battlefield stands for. Large open environments, dynamic engagements across different classes, meaningful vehicle play all make up that Battlefield DNA, which I've already made a video on. This map wouldn't be so bad as an infantry focused map if it was the exception, not the rule. But in this case, all of your damn base maps are literally infantry-focused maps. All that Battlefield DNA, that identity simply doesn't exist inside Empire State's tiny, boxed-in footprint. Yet here we are, rehashing it despite the community begging for open, vehicle-friendly arenas. And the snow might be a nice seasonal cosmetic change, but the design problems remain exactly the same as they are. And it's absolutely a disgusting map. Like, you've got some really nice mechanical touches, like you can't stay out in the open for too long or you'll freeze and your character's arms will start shivering when you're caught outside. But these are mechanics which would better suit a larger environment. Not this tiny ass map where you're constantly running around so your body temperature is always hot, because this map is worse than Metro's clusterfuck. And that brings me on to this obsession with turning Battlefield into this high-octane version of itself. This is a fool's gamble, and the developers keep doubling down like they've discovered some secret formula. This is not fucking Battlefield. I don't know what Vince Zampella is trying to build here. It's not a corridor shooter, never has been, never should be. It's not COD, it's not Rainbow Six Siege. Fuck off with this bullshit. Battlefield thrives when the maps breathe, when the engagements unfold across the landscapes, not hallways. The Frostbite engine can't even handle this shit in some cases, but instead of embracing that scale, the team has chosen a path lined with smaller maps, tight lanes, predictable choke points, linear routes, spaces where vehicles can't maneuver and aircraft may as well not even exist. You can't put tanks into environments designed like office parks, and you can't sell Battlefield moments in these spaces designed for COD maps. It's just not happening. The Winter Empire State map is simply the latest example of this ongoing mismatch between vision and identity. It's an infantry map, yes, but so are 90% of all of the other base maps in this damn game. Claustrophobic, twitch heavy, and fundamentally un-Battlefield. And that's a tragic irony here, because Battlefield's massive potential is still visible through the cracks. Like I said, you've got a few great locations in Fort Linden. The destruction tech works. The audio is great, gunplay feels decent. You can see the greatness trying to push its way out, but then the poor map design choices slam the door in its fucking face. No room for tanks, again no wide sight lines, no flowing battlefronts, just lazy backwards developers and a stupid focus on cosmetics. Just more cramped geometry, props on top of props. You keep designing around speed when the game desperately needs space. So let's address the mammoth in this snowstorm for a second. This update advertises how little substantive content was actually prepared for Season 1 and how thin the long-term roadmap must be if this is what made it into the spotlight. Like, the choice to reskin a bad map signals a lack of effort by the developers. Like, I don't want to hear how hard you've worked, because all I can see is lazy effort.
Teams have been working so hard on this for so long.
So we don't have the capacity.
Because content like this is not, we didn't have time. It's, this is all we could do. The effort didn't go into design, it didn't go into systems, it didn't go into scale, it went into surface level customization that barely lasts beyond the first impressions. Snow falls, players shrug, and everything plays exactly the same. And we've got more stupid player skins again. I'm not going into this, it's 2042 all over again. That silly personality-focused bullshit, they're doing it again, but they've hid the characters' faces. Now you can't tell who's male and female, exactly the androgynous model they're trying to push. and it's just fucking weird. Stop this customization focus, please. Focus on camouflage, like the wide variety of weapon skins you have in the game, and do something similar to Battlefield 3, BF4, so we can outfit according to the game's biomes. This update ideally should have had several brand new snow-themed environments. I'm thinking of several snow maps from previous Battlefield games. Again, the emphasis is on wide open space, vehicle combat, etc. Maps tailored for multiple objective-based game modes. Hell, you could have introduced new vehicles like the snow bikes for those quick flanks, or a hovercraft, or even some attack boats for the naval combat theme for downtown or Marina, but instead we've got big studios offering the bare minimum. It's exactly the slippery slope you get with live service free-to-play shooters, and we need to get the hell away from this model because eventually people check out. You're already losing tons of players on Steam because people are starting to realize this game doesn't offer Battlefield, so they're going back to older titles. Alright, so let's take a deep breath, because unlike the Winter Empire State embarrassment we just tore up, Downtown and Marina are actually good maps. Shockingly good. The kind of good that makes you wonder why these maps weren't the centerpiece of Season 1. Instead, they're tucked away, under-advertised, barely playable, and here's the real kicker, not even made as proper dev-built maps. These are Portal-created spaces pulled from Fort Linden, the Red Sect Battle Royale map, and adjusted for Conquest. And they absolutely destroy most of the official maps. These maps, they get it. They respect Battlefield's origins. Open spaces, long sight lines, large-scale warfare, players spread out across terrain rather than funneled in through hallways. Downtown and Marina feel like someone finally remembered that Battlefield is a sandbox, not some COD shooter. There is space to move, room for vehicles to breathe, and enough varied elevation to encourage dynamic engagements. This feels like Battlefield. It plays like Battlefield. It reminds you of Battlefield. And yet, nobody's talking about these damn maps. They haven't been promoted, they haven't been featured, they're not in the ranked rotation, they're not even in the core playlists. Instead, they're hidden away in Portal, left to rot in server browsers, with 5 players and a tumbleweed. These maps should be the blueprint for Battlefield 6. I did ask for these maps before, and there's still so much more they could take from Fort Linden, considering that the game is extremely desperate for big maps. This needs to be integrated into the game by the developers into ranked playlists, not put there with Portal as community-built conversions, and it's a warning sign of what's to come. This is all very similar to how Halo Infinite was handled. That game was essentially built by the community with the Forge tools, from its multiplayer maps, its game modes, and frankly half its identity. Even its campaign looks like a Forge joke. Halo became a free-to-play Frankenstein. Low effort, inconsistent visual design, because players should never be the ones building a foundation of a AAA shooter. That's the developer's job. But now, the game looks horrible to this day. It's blocky, everything looks like plastic, like Minecraft, and ultimately it's not reflective of next-gen material. So it looks like shit. This is what you get with today's progressive modern developers. This culture is a massive problem, but I digress because now Battlefield 6 is flirting with the same disaster with Portal mode. The best large-scale maps in the game are community-driven, not meticulously crafted with game modes in mind by DICE, but instead just chucked into Portal and left there for the community to deal with. So I fear that Portal might just be quietly used to fill the void left by the lack of developer-made maps in the future for large-scale conquest maps. And this is how it starts. Community-made maps become the fix, the bandage, content creators fake hype it, then they become the expectation. Then you wake up one day and Battlefield is now Portal Field with a duct tape map rotation, just like Halo Infinite became Halo Forge mode and lost its identity. And everything, again, looks like shit. The worst part is, these maps are good, and because of that, they highlight how lifeless, cramped, and creatively limited the official small-scale maps are. Operation Firestorm remains to be the biggest launch map in the base game, and these maps reveal just how badly Battlefield needs open terrain, not snow-themed, reskinned hallways. It's inspiring and depressing at the same time, because the potential is there, but it's coming from the wrong pipeline. Let's talk about the visuals for a second, because downtown and Marina are visually stunning. Downtown has this modern LA metropolis vibe, bright Californian tones, beautiful city backdrop, shopping malls, parking lots, office blocks, palm trees, and open courtyards. It's vibrant without being too much, but offers balance with destroyed areas for that gritty realism. It's designed to be played at scale. The roads accommodate for vehicle movement, streets aren't cluttered with useless shit in the way. The plazas allow infantry to spread out. High-rises create laid vertical combat and spaces for snipers in AT to camp and spot targets. It's everything a typical Battlefield map should be, reminiscent of Battlefield 3 and BF4. Both maps give off this coastal Pacific front energy, which would have worked really great for that naval assault theme, which dies completely ignored here. Marina is a little bit smaller in scale, offering a light industrial sprawl, civic spaces, a series of restaurants along its docks. This map would have worked really great in Rush. This whole waterfront area could have been used for attack boats, destroying these light structures. We've got abandoned boats and shipyards. You get the sense some massive earthquake tore this map up, and that's a theme that keeps reoccurring in these maps. Downtown feels like a hybrid between Gulf of Oman from BF4 and Dawnbreaker, offering this huge civic space with destructible buildings, infantry-focused street fighting in that LA art pass. Again, great sense of space, great scale, wide sightlines towards the coast, rolling hills the further you get to the town. This is amazing. I can't stress this enough. This is what the game needs. The open shoreline transitions smoothly into urban clusters, giving the map directional flow without sacrificing freedom. It's the kind of environment where vehicles, infantry and aircraft, helicopters, jets, LAVs, tanks all naturally share the battlefield. My only issue here is the game clearly hasn't got enough vehicles in the sandbox. There's no variation. It's the same generic type of vehicle, from aircraft, transport vehicles, etc. across both factions. The map's clearly built for large-scale conquest, 64 players. Unfortunately, I only got to play this with 20 players. Like I said, games are hard to find. Again, you're not boxed in with kill boundaries. No suffocating architecture, forcing everyone into 3-lane kill tunnels. This is everything Battlefield 6 should be aiming for, and everything its official map team seem to be missing. Let's talk about that naval warfare, because both maps are practically begging for naval combat. You've got this massive coastal assault from the sea. Attackers spawn at a long approach from this makeshift carrier. Like I said, this was made in portal mode, so things like the carrier were built with the community tools, so they aren't to scale. This could have been Gulf of Oman 2.0, with attackers spawning on the carrier, rib boats racing to the shoreline, attack boats laying down suppressive fire as infantry storm the reinforced coastline, jumping through barbed wire, SAM sites, etc. Jets launching from the carrier deck. I'm thinking about that Cog Island detonation triggering the first set of MCOMs. You could have a line of trenches or concrete MG bunkers, again reminiscent of Cog Island from BF3, especially with those hovercrafts landing on the coast to drop off vehicles. That's the Battlefield fantasy. This is the iconic scale we want. And I'm not just talking about scale in maps, I'm also talking about scale in terms of the sandbox, the arsenal, the vehicles, and that sense of strategy and tactical design. The ingredients are literally right there, but the devs didn't do anything with it. So instead of this full-blown naval assault, we got nothing. But, you know, at least the community have done something with it, and I'm grateful for that at least. Now here's where Downtown and Marina really start flexing, and that's with the mass destruction. Both feature multiple high-rise structures, some under construction that can be collapsed or chipped away at, and when they go down, massive clouds of smoke roll through the entire block, sightlines shift, cover disappears, entire lanes are choked out with smoke. It's very reminiscent of BF4's Siege of Shanghai, harkening back to that mass destruction, an almost spiritual successor to BF4's Levolution system. Not as dramatic as a crashing skyscraper, but absolutely in the same design spirit. It definitely shows what Battlefield 6 could be if the developers embraced dynamic map evolution, structural collapses, changing the battlefield. And the other thing I'm thinking about are weather changes. Imagine if Downtown had dynamic storms rolling in like BF4's Gulf of Oman, choking visibility and turning the whole map into an airy, low visibility war zone. Again, this map could have been Gulf of Oman 2.0. It's right there, only the devs didn't grab it and it's screaming the people in that studio are absolutely clueless. That being said, if DICE don't course correct soon, these maps will become a symbol of what Battlefield could have been, while the franchise drifts closer to that Halo Infinite style community build everything nightmare. Get back to open, large-scale environments, bring back dynamic environments, dynamic weather, mass-scale destruction, Levolution, and add more to the sandbox. It seems like you're trying to build a Bad Company style game, and it's just not working. This game is screaming it needs to be a BF4 style game. So can you just make that happen, please? Anyway, that's gonna do it for this one, guys. It's DW signing out.